So, just in case you guys tuned into the live I did earlier, apparently there was some technical difficulties. I had some issues with the audio, and I sat there and I rambled on for about 20 good minutes, and not a single word of that was caught. So we're gonna try this again. I figured out my technical difficulties, and now I'm back in action. So now I'm gonna text my brother to make sure that he can check this stream for me and make sure that I sound like I'm supposed to do. Also, if you guys are out there in cyberspace listening in on this content, please feel free to let me know if y'all can hear what I'm saying at this time. Anyway, without further ado, my name is Mike Jones, Phil Jones, however you guys know me personally or professionally, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Extraordinary Man Podcast, where we talk about everything and anything from a perspective point of view. So, as you guys may have read in the title, we are having a conversation about retirement versus transitioning. First things first, what is retirement? For those who didn't catch that part of what retirement is, let's go ahead and start right off, getting right into the definition. So I'm going to pull it up here on the screen, and I want you guys to just follow along with me as I pull this up for you. So according to the dictionary, and if you guys don't see it, just follow along with the audio. I know I could try to work that bug out a little later. It says retirement is the act of ending one's professional or working career or the state of being retired. It usually refers to leaving one's job, career, or occupation permanently, often due to age. In the United States and most other developed countries, the traditional retirement age is 65. Now, why do I bring that up? I bring that up to say this. A lot of us are not prepared for what the next phase is going to be. A lot of us, we are living, we're existing in the planet, we're doing the things that we're doing, but there are a couple of questions I want to ask people. And this is just something I want you guys to think about because as I'm 38, life insurance, uh, buying a house, so many different things that are going on that are hot topics now that I wish I would have been more keen to in my younger years, but better late than never, I should say. So, are you taking the steps to line up your situation to ensure that what you're investing your time into is going to benefit you? What do I mean by that? The monetary decisions that you're making. Are you verifying what you're putting away into your 401k if you have any? Do you have any outside investments that you're adding the compound to? Do you have any idea what your lifestyle is projected to be like once you enter retirement? When do you plan to go into retirement? Some people, they work until they're 65. Some people don't want to work until they're 65. Some people say, hey, I want to retire as early as humanly possible. Okay, well, what does that look like? Is that a paid off house? Putting your children through college? Are you making the monetary decisions that's going to ensure that you can have the type of life that you want to when you're ready to hang it up with the job? Then there are people who think a little bit along these lines, along the lines of, I never intend to stop working. I just intend to stop doing certain types of work. Like, for instance, for those who know, I work for the Postal Service. I'm a supervisor in the factory setting. I don't intend on doing the same work for the remainder of my days. I just don't think that is necessary to do. I feel like more so than anything else, I will be eventually transitioning out of this occupation into something else. The goal is to try to find a way to be less physical and to use my mind more to secure my finances. When I'm thinking about taking care of my family, that's the number one objective. How do I plan to take care of my family? How do I plan to take care of myself? How do I plan on securing these things that are necessary in order for me to enter into a life that's worth me having? You have to project these things out and you have to look at your age and where you are and where things are for you to try to determine if you are in a position where you're making the proper decisions. That can't wait 10 years from now. You can't just wing it, can't just fly by because that time is going to go. Let me tell you guys, When I was 18, I thought I had it all under control. Thought I had it all figured out. Thought that I was just the smartest person ever. And most importantly, I thought that I had ample time to figure it out. Now, this is somewhat contradictory to an earlier point that I've made. Yes, you have time to pick up the pieces if you miss something along the way. What you don't have time for is to wait with your money because the economy, inflation, other things that are going on, they have to be accounted for. You have to understand that what a dollar could get you in 2004 is not the same thing that a dollar will get you in 2024, which only tells me that in 2048 is going to be a completely different ball game then. We have people that are literally wiping out their 401ks or taking hardship withdrawals and everything to try to make sure that they have the necessary funds to cover everyday expenses, cover credit card bills and whatnot. And it's like it's really at a place to where we have to really, really, really start honing in. And I feel like there's somewhat of a stigma on people having monetary conversations. And I think that we need to get past that. We really need to get past not being able to have group collective conversations when it comes down to money, investing, stop trying to get over on each other and really understand that we do better investing as a community. But that's neither here nor there. We got plenty of time for that. So, one thing that I want to get into specifically is I want to bring up a specific point here. And this here is discussing the average age of retirement. I'm going to open this up and I want you guys to just kind of tune in with it as well. Please let me know if you guys are familiar with any of this stuff. If you have any questions about anything that I go over, please put it in the chat at any point in time, and I'll go ahead and I'll address it at a later time during the broadcast. But I'm going to share this page with you guys, and this is dealing with the average age of retirement. I'm going to go ahead and start off at the top, and I'm going to bring some stuff to you guys. Now, this is from a website called The Motley Fool. If you're not familiar with The Motley Fool, they talk about a lot of investment, retirement, talk about a lot of finance-related stuff, and they have a lot of plethora of good information. I would suggest you guys visit it if you haven't visited it to get familiar with some of what it is that they have to offer. So this article specifically is titled, "What is the average retirement savings in the U.S.?" This article was updated as of March 18th, 2024. The author, Jack Carapal, if I pronounced that correctly, Caporal, forgive me if I misquoted, but let's get into it. These are some of the key findings and some of the key things that stuck out to me for the reason why I wanted to review this article. First and foremost, in 2022, the average median retirement savings in America, 87,000. Says the median retirement savings for Americans younger than age 35 is 18,800. Now, again, we're talking about people that are planning to retire on average at about 65. So between 18 and 35, that's 17 years. So we're really trying to play catch up for the last 30 years of that retirement based off what's being said here. Not to mention the adjustments for inflation, market instability, and so forth. So follow along. 62% of Americans aged 18 to 29 have some retirement savings, but only 30% feel on track for retirement. Now, I'm stopping there briefly. When we're talking about on track for retirement, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier about, do you have an idea of what retirement looks like for you? How you save, how you invest is really going to be mainly based off of how you intend to retire. Do you plan on just paying off your house, paying off your cars, chilling at home? Do you plan a vacation? Do you plan on moving to Italy and going to live off the grid? What do you plan to do? Your savings should be indicative of the life that you plan to lead once you're ready to leave your job. That's paramount because it doesn't matter necessarily how much money you save. It matters what is your plan and how is your savings indicative and reflective of that plan. So here, 55% of non-retirees have a 401k or a 403b, while 25% have no retirement savings. Now, for that 25% of people that have no retirement savings, let's really talk about that. These people may be young, don't know very much about retirement, not even thinking about retirement, it's not even on their radar. They may be at low wage jobs that don't really pay a whole lot of money, so they need to take every bit of money that they have and they're not really able to contribute to a retirement fund at this time. It may be people who are fiscally irresponsible that don't really think about the future like that. Or it may could just be that they're starting off their careers a little bit later, or they're starting off in something they haven't quite figured out a career, so they might be working retail or fast food or some job where the income is very limited at that level. So it happens. That 25% can incorporate anywhere within a spectrum, so it's not a one size fits all for those guys. So now we're here. The median retirement savings for white Americans was 100,000 in 2022. Median retirement savings for black families was 39,000 and 55,600 for Hispanic families. This should tell you that we're not trying to do a racial division situation here, but what we are trying to do is get people in mind of understanding that certain communities need to get on the ball. And like I stated earlier in live, we need to get past the stigma of sitting down talking about finances. We need to understand that working together and collectively putting our resources together, not just within families, but we could start there, but within whole communities, investing within each other ultimately is going to be an investment in ourselves for the long run. Again, a conversation for a later date, but clearly group economics and family spending and collective bargaining within the household, it has some merit to it, and you can see how it works in other communities. Moving on. The median retirement savings, okay, I just went through that. So median retirement savings for households in the bottom 25% of the net worth grew $3,694 from 1989 to 2022. Median retirement savings for the top 10% of net worth grew by $789,332 during the same period. I know what people are saying. Oh, well, because they had more money, they could play with more money, they could invest more money, and that's how they were able to compound it over and over again, which there's some truth to that. But there's also choices. So a lot of times it's, are we going into fields that are in demand? What's in demand pays more. Right now, cybersecurity, IT is a huge field and it pays a lot of money. A lot of people don't want to do that. Sometimes people are comfortable where they are because it's satisfying the need. But right now, it's not necessarily about satisfying the need, it's about getting over, it's about what's for the long run. Those are decisions that you make individually. But at the same time, it's really about looking at the large picture, the long scope, because we're talking about retirement here. So, in this specifically, when you have more money to put away, obviously, when you're earning more and you need less to live off of, more money can go toward the rainy day. So, let's scroll down a little past this. So there's an entire no, not really calculated, but they got a breakdown from 1989 to 2022. I want to get into this really quick. So Americans saving more for retirement than they did 30 years ago in spite of economic challenges. So we're going to get into this, and I definitely want to make sure that this is heard before we go any further. This calendar says so much, but you have to know what you're looking at to understand what it is. So in 1989, 25,361. Remember one thing, cost of living and inflation was far different in 1989 versus what it is today. So when we look at the differences in the strata of how the money differentiates, bear in mind what 25,000 could get you in 1989 versus what it can get you in 2024. Just keep that at the back of your head. So the mean of retirement, I know some of you guys have been out of math class for quite a bit of time. So the median, as we know, is the average. The mean is where you take the lowest and the highest, put them together, break it down into the middle. So if I took the lowest income and the highest income and I broke them together in 87,000 at 1989, then the differences between, or the stratosphere between the low earners and the high earners, it was big, but it wasn't huge. We start scrolling down. Let's go down here to like 2010. You have 60,095. But you see how you have a jump that's almost 4 times that amount now to 233,358. As inflation starts to kick in, as different things in the economy start to happen, you start to notice there's a tad bit of a trend going on, that obviously what money can get you, different companies that entered the market at this time. Obviously, we know the what was still fairly new. I mean, 2010, Facebook was still fairly new. Um, Amazon hadn't reached its peak. Apple was really getting on the ground floor. There was a few different things that were taking place at this time that people who had the money to invest in and got it on the cutting edge, they were able to start taking off. People who understood different aspects of what certain funds did versus just investing in individual stocks or whatever have you. It's like there's so many different components to that. But now when we get all the way down here to 2022, where the statistic ends, it's saying the average of everybody coupled together, 87. But taking the lowest and the highest, and the difference between the lowest and the highest, 339, 333, 945. I don't know about you guys, but that's an intense thing. Education, what's paying the bills, what's making the money. There's so many different factors that tie into that distribution change between the average. As you notice, from here to here, it's incremental every 3 years. But over here, it's like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. Like, it's you can see how it's changing, how it's fluctuated. And if you know what was going on in the market then, to kind of understand what was happening here, well, a lot of people who were high earners got higher earning. The more demand that there was for new technology or new situations, they made exponentially more money. CEOs made exponentially more money than what they made back then. So you have to pay attention to those little facts. I'm going to read this last little part to you guys. Just again, things that I want you guys to just keep on the back of your mind. The mean retirement savings amongst Americans is significantly higher than the median savings, indicating some large outliers. High earners have more than $1 million more in retirement savings than low earners, which pulls the average retirement savings numbers up. So because your highs are so high, some people are making multiple millions while somebody is making 20 or 30,000. The stretch between the highest earners and the lowest earners are so wide that now it may make the average look a little better than what it is. But it means that because there's not that many people making those multiples of millions, that means that there's so many more, like exponentially more people at the low earning spectrum. And that's something that needs to be addressed. So let me go ahead and get out of this. So I'm hoping that some of the stuff that I'm saying is resonating. And I hope that it's like it really starts to make you think about the concept of retirement. Now, that's just one half of the coin. My brother and I, we talk a lot about finances, about everything under the sun. And one of the most important things regarding finances that we discuss is I don't see myself retiring. I don't really believe in the concept of retiring, at least not in a traditional sense. I do believe in transitioning. I think that in the game of life, it's more indicative that as you get older, you learn how to use the biggest muscle that you have available to you more than your physicality. So, how can I take my world of experience? How can I take these things and maybe put myself in a mentorship role? Maybe put myself in a financier role. Let me take the money that I've acquired. Let me put that money out there and invest in startups and invest in other things and start getting dividends back off some of those things. Sometimes it's really about taking a look and seeing, how do I transition what I do to earn money so that it could be less consistent on where I am at the time, and it could be more consistent on what I want to accomplish and how I intend to accomplish what I'm doing. That's what I really think that the real game is now, is that it's not about the gold watch. It's not about leaving the job. It's not about being able to finally sit down. It's not about the finally being able to be free. It's about buying back your independence. You can have a job and you can work, but are your ducks in a row? Just because I have a job doesn't mean that I can't have an LLC that's earning me money on the side. Doesn't mean I can't have a series of passive investments that are going on behind the scenes that are earning me money. I'm sorry, I don't want to pay health insurance flat out. Those costs are egregious. So why not, if I'm going to get a good rate on the health insurance from my job, why not take advantage of getting those health insurance rates from my job, but then have other irons on the fire that's bringing me more money? Why not? Who's stopping you? So eventually, once I'm tired of doing this, and once I'm able to transition from doing this, or where working here for the insurance or working here for some of the other perks is no longer a factor, then I can uplift myself, take myself from here, put myself over here where I actually really want to be, and start really hammering in and developing more on that. Maybe I want to write a book. Speaking of books, this gentleman right here, which I mentioned in the earlier live that nobody could hear, my library is overflowing. This book right here, I don't know if you guys can see it clearly, but this is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. This book right here has helped me train my brain to start thinking about different things that I didn't think about, as far as how much actual control I have over outcome, situations, and the like. I didn't give myself the adequate credit to be able to say, you know what? I'm really in control of my situation, and I don't give myself the credit that I need for being in control of my situation. Instead, I let the situation dictate how I feel rather than understanding situations will happen, but staying steadfast in the fact that, you know what? This still got to get done. Whether I'm mad, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, whether it's sunny outside, whether it's raining, no matter what happens, the mission is the mission and the goal is the goal. Stay focused. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Instead, be the effective change that will change the atmosphere around you. Didn't think that that was possible until I started putting it into play. Realizing that there's a reason why you have certain people who have cults of personality, depending on what sector that you listen to. If you're in the black sector, you might listen to a Dr. Umar Johnson. You may listen to O'Shea Duke Jackson, or you may listen to Ayan Levon Sant, Oprah. I mean, there's all these different types of cults of personality. T.D. Jakes. No matter what sector you're listening to, all these people, they are able to say things that make you think about your life in a different way. They're able to relate to people in a different way, and they're able to take from and draw from their experiences to paint a picture, whether righteous or not. That's for you to determine. To paint a picture and paint that picture so that you can really grasp a quality understanding of what they're trying to say and how it applies to your life. Gary V's, the Grant Cardone's, just to name a few. Like, there's people out here who are great cults of personality. What's the Robert Kiyosaki? Obviously, he's the author of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. Everybody knows him. At least, that I know, the circle that I'm around, everybody knows Rich Dad Poor Dad. This gentleman has, the book was paramount. Or at least parts of the book were paramount in people's understanding of how certain people learn to use money as a tool or asset, or how to leverage credit to do what you needed to do, understanding good credit versus bad credit. And then, you have the Dave Ramsey's of the world to say, screw credit, pay cash. There are a bunch of different things. So why can't I take from my experiences and give those experiences back? Who says that I'm disqualified from being able to write a book? Who says that I'm disqualified from doing lectures, from doing a TED Talk, from building a YouTube channel? Who says I'm disqualified? Who says that my life experience, who says that your life experience is not quality enough to where somebody will be willing to pay to listen to you explain how you overcame whatever you got, wherever you came from? We don't know. We don't know what our lives are worth or what our life story is worth. We don't know what our accomplishments are worth. But we have to stop devaluing what we do, our skills, our thoughts, our minds. So you can easily take from what you've done professionally and transition from that thing that you've done and turn that thing into something that can earn you income passively, or that you can transition from using your physical to using this muscle instead of this muscle and making a bigger bag off of it. Anyway, I'm not going to drag this thing out too much longer. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, make sure to comment on the video. If you guys have not seen the YouTube page, you guys feel free to come and visit the YouTube page at any time. It's the Extraordinary Men podcast on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us various other places. We're going to bring back the audio component of the podcast very soon. But just for what it's worth, only thing that I want you guys to do is just think about this. Think about your future. Brief takeaways from this is, do you plan to retire or do you plan to continue working? Are you in the thing, or are you in the field that you plan on working for the rest of your life? If not, if you plan on retirement, are you taking the necessary steps to see to it that the life that you want to live post job is secure? I'm 38. When I look at my savings, if I said, hey, I plan to retire at 65, between 38 and 65 is 29 years. Within 29 years, how much money would I need to save up to be able to make sure that my house is paid off, to make sure that my cars are paid off, make sure that kids are in school, make sure that all my ducks are in a row so I can live comfortably off of what I've acquired? That's the question to ask. If I say, you know what, I'm going to transition and put certain things on a fire, what is my plan to transition from working for the Postal Service to the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase, to where everything that I touch can start growing or bearing fruit? It can start growing and start bringing me back something that I put into it. You have to ask yourself these questions. And it's important that we start asking ourselves these questions day in, day out. Do not let a moment pass to where you're not thinking about the future. Remember, for me, I graduated May 22nd of 2004. It's going to be May 5th of 2024. 20 years flashed like that. If anybody viewing this is younger, understand, I've already been your age once. If you're on track for where you want to be, great. If you're not on track, get on track. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out and I'll walk you through it to the best of my ability, or get on one of the greatest search engines ever on YouTube and start finding you some information. Start researching, start digging in. Find out what you're good at. Find out what your skills are. Sit down on a pen and paper, write down what are your skills, are those skills in demand, and how do you transition those skills into something that will be in demand, that will make you the money that you need to make to get that plan off the ground. Anyway, guys, that's my time. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Please tune in as we go next to the do our live next. I think I'll probably go live again sometime tomorrow afternoon. And I'm going to go ahead and take a very similar topic to this and just kind of piggyback off of it to start talking about different careers, different paths, how they can affect you, and how they can hold up within the economies that we're currently in. Anyway, that's my time, guys. Peace.